This is WRMK, Deerfield, New Hampshire. WRMK News Radio. You're listening to The Riley King Show. Good morning and welcome to The Riley King Show. I'm Riley King and it's Thursday, January 22nd, 2026. Today on the show, section of I-93 South closed after late night incident in Salem. Rep. Pappas poses redirecting ICE funding to local police. Lawmakers shift course on Hannah Duston statue. Pursue expanded historical context. New Hampshire Democrats push to keep first in the nation primary for 2028. Governor Ayotte to highlight child care, health care, and energy cost in State of the State address. Federal agents fire shots during immigration operation near Campton. Trump singles shift in Greenland stance with New Deal framework. Stock features climb as geopolitical tension eases and inflation data nears. Celtics roll past the Pacers in road win. And Bruins set to host the Golden Knights in tonight's primetime matchup. Let's get started now. First up, section of I-93 South closed in Salem after a late night incident. A stretch of Interstate 93 southbound in Salem was shut down Wednesday night following an incident that prompted a significant police presence. The closure occurred shortly before 11:30 p.m., with traffic being diverted off Exit 2. The roadway remained closed until about 1 a.m. Thursday, according to officials. A town-operated traffic camera in Salem captured the heavy police presence at the scene. Authorities have not yet released details about what led to the shutdown. However, witnesses reported seeing a white sheet covering something in the roadway. Road conditions were snowy at the time of the incident, which may have contributed to the situation. State Police said the investigation is ongoing. This is a developing story, and updates will be provided as more information becomes available. Pappas proposes redirecting ICE funding to boost local police departments. U.S. Chris Pappas, a Democrat from New Hampshire, is introducing legislation that would significantly reshape federal immigration enforcement spending by redirecting billions of dollars from Immigration and Customs Enforcement ICE to local law enforcement agencies. Unlike some members of his party, Pappas is not calling for the abolition of ICE. Instead, he is proposing to reallocate as much as $75 billion from the agency's budget to support state and local police departments nationwide. Pappas said the funding could be used to hire and train up to 200,000 officers. We've seen how ICE has been operating across the country, including in an overtly political fashion, dividing Americans. Pappas said, "It's my interest to see how we can truly make this country safer." The congressman said shifting the funding could also affect reported plans for a potential ICE detention facility in Merrimack, New Hampshire. He criticized the agency for what he described as a lack of transparency in its operations and planning. If they are not going to be transparent with the American people, with communities where they expect to build and operate facilities, and if they cannot be honest with taxpayers, then we need to be smart about how we use our dollars to truly keep this country safer, Pappas said. Federal officials pushed back on the criticism, suggesting recent tensions surrounding ICE operations stem from activism rather than agency action. Gregory Bouvineau of the U.S. Border Patrol pointed to heightened activity in Minneapolis as an example. We've been in many cities, Los Angeles, Chicago, Charlotte, New Orleans, and now Minneapolis, Bouvineau said. What we've seen that's different here is the level of organizations among some of the groups. Pappas' proposal would reappropriate funds, including in the so-called One Big Beautiful Bill, a key priority the Trump administration, making bipartisan support unlikely. Still, Pappas argued the funding would be better spent strengthening local law enforcement. I hope people see the value in investing in our local departments, especially smaller ones that often struggle to meet matching requirements to apply for COPS grants, he said. The legislation is expected to face an uphill battle in Congress, but adds to the ongoing national debate over immigration enforcement and public safety funding. Lawmakers shift course on Hannah Duston statue, now seeking expanded historical context. Supporters of a proposal to remove the controversial Hannah Duston Memorial statue in Boscawen are revising course, abandoning calls for its demolish in favor of plans to expand historical interpretation at the site. The new goal is to revive efforts to create a border interpretive area that would provide context around the monument while leaving the statue in place. The issue first gained attention last fall when legislation was introduced at the State House to remove the statue of Duston, a 17th century Massachusetts Puritan woman who killed 10 Abenaki people in retaliation for the death of her newborn child. It created a lot of attention, said State Rep David Nagler, a Republican from Gilmington, who sponsored the original removal bill. I got a lot of letters. After hearing from constituents and community members, Nagel said he now supports amending the bill and reestablish a working group that previously sought consensus on a new interpretive site. That group, active over the past decade, aimed to contentalize the monument rather than eliminate it. We would rather see, instead of demolish the statue, that a border interpretation be intact. The very recommendations that were made years ago by the original advisory committee from the 2013 legislature, said Lori Carey, a member of the Boscawen Select Board. The monument has long been a political and culture flashpoint. According to historical accounts, Dustin was taken captive by the Abenaka people in 1697 along with her infant. After the child was killed, Dustin escaped and killed and scalped 10 Abenaka individuals. Events commemorated by the statue at its current location. Those were horrible times for people, said Elaine Clow, president of the Boscawen Historical Society. While Indonesia groups have historically opposed the statue, many now support keeping it in place if the site is expanded to tell more complete and balanced story. To us, it's a resource that has been maintained and made into a vibrant and contemporary historical park escape, said Paul of the New Hampshire Commission on Native Afro-American Affairs. Denise of the Kawasaki Board of Pennacook Abenaki people said the statue offers an opportunity to correct long-standing historical narratives. I cannot undo Cotton Mather's 400 years lie, she said, but I can narrate the statue that people come and look at, and that gives a permanent placement to correct the narratives. It remains unclear how lawmakers will respond to the revised proposal as it moves forward in legislative process. New Hampshire Democrats push to keep first in the nation primary for 2028. 2 years ahead of the 2028 presidential primary, New Hampshire Democrats are making a formal push to retain their long-held status as first in the nation primary state. Party leaders are submitting a 46-page proposal this week to the Democratic National Committee, DNC, outlining why New Hampshire should once again lead off the presidential nomination process. Democratic Party Chairman Ray Buckley said he is confident the Granite State will prevail. We think that New Hampshire is going to be very successful with arguing why we should, Buckley said. We really fit all criteria, no matter the law or the tradition. Although New Hampshire has continued to hold the first primary in recent cycles, it did not receive DNC support during the last election cycle. Now, with party leaders signaling a reset, Democrats are seeking renewed backing from the National Committee. Buckley said he believes New Hampshire's proposal stands out among the competition. So far, I think ours is really outstanding compared to the other states, he said. The proposal highlights New Hampshire's accessibility, noting the state's small size allows candidates to meet voters face-to-face. It also points to state's growing diversity and the presence of independent voters who play a key role in general elections. What do we offer? We offer independent voters, Buckley said, and that's who you need to attract in the November election. Political analyst Scott Spradling said New Hampshire's status as a swing state strengthens its case. They want a purple state, and New Hampshire is as purple as it comes right now, which really helps us set ourselves apart from the rest of the field, Spradling said. Spradling added that Democrats should return to a system that has historically worked for the party. The entire neck flow is because Joe Biden wanted to make a change and reward the state that gave him the White House, he said. It's time to set aside the personal politics and get back to how voters should be choosing the next president, and it should start here in New Hampshire. A dozen of state parties are seeking DNC approval to hold early primaries. New Hampshire and Delaware are the only applicants from the Northeast, while other states in the running include Michigan, Virginia, Georgia, and South Carolina. The DNC Rules and Bylaws Committee is scheduled to review the applicants later this month in Puerto Rico. Ayotte to highlight child care, health care, and energy cost in State of State address. Governor Kelly Ayotte is expected to unveil plans to expand access to child care, improve the affordability of health care, and lower electricity cost when she delivers her State of the State address on February 5th. In remarks previewing the speech, the first-term governor pointed to several actions taken during her first year in office, including reforms of the state's bail system, new laws aimed at accelerating housing construction, and the passage of a balanced state budget. Ayotte is expected to frame those accomplishments as part of a broader effort to strengthen New Hampshire's economy and ease pressures on residents. Democrat leaders, however, have pushed back on that narrative, arguing that some policies supported by the governor have added to the financial strain on families. The address is expected to set a tone for the upcoming legislative session and outline Ayotte's priorities for the year ahead. Federal agents fired shots during immigration operation near Compton. Shots were fired during an immigration raid near Compton, California, after a suspect tried to ram agents with his car, according to DHS. It comes just 2 weeks after the deadly ICE shooting of Renee Good in Minneapolis. Trump signals shift in Greenland stance, announces deal framework. After weeks of insisting that the United States must take ownership of Greenland, President Trump has stepped back from earlier threats to seize the territory by force and to impose tariffs tied to NATO. The president said a framework of a deal regarding Greenland has now been established, singling a softer approach following his aggressive rhetoric in recent weeks. While details of the proposal agreement were not immediately released, the announcement marks a notable shift in tone from the White House, moving away from coinciding language towards negotiative. Officials have not yet clarified what the framework includes or how it would affect Greenland's status, but development suggests diplomatic talks have replaced earlier confrontational posturing. Stock futures climb as geopolitical tension eases and inflation data looms. U.S. stock futures rose Thursday as easing geopolitical concerns helped fuel a broader rally across global markets, lifting investor sentiment. Features linked to the Dow Joe Industrial Average were up 197 points, or 0.4%. S&P 500 features gained 0.6%, while NASDAQ 100 features advanced 0.7%. Traders were also looking ahead to key inflation report due later in the morning, which could provide fresh clues about the direction of interest rates and the broader economy. Celtics roll past Pacers in road win. The Boston Celtics continue their strong play with a 119-104 victory over the Indiana Pacers on Wednesday night. Boston controlled much of the game, building an early advantage behind a strong first half in which they scored 66 points. The Celtics led 32-20 after the first quarter and winded the gap by halftime, setting the tone for the rest of the night. Indiana made a push in the third quarter, outscoring Boston 32-25, but the Celtics responded in the final period, closing the game with a solid 28-point effort to secure the win. With the victory, Boston improved to a 27-16 on the season and remains second in the Eastern Conference standings. The Pacers fell 10-35. Bruins set to host Golden Knights in a primetime matchup. The Boston Bruins are set to take on the ice tonight at 7 p.m. as they host the Vegas Golden Knights in an NHL showdown at the TD Garden. Boston will look to protect home ice against a Golden Knights team known for its speed and physical play. The matchup features two well-balanced squads and promises to be a strong test for Bruins as they continue through the heart of the season. Puck drop is scheduled for 7 p.m., with fans expecting a fast-paced and highly competitive game between the two of the league's most recognizable teams. Thank you for listening to this edition of The Riley King Show. Enjoy the rest of your day and talk to you all tomorrow. Bye now.